Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Serani Sembang. It's our 10th episode. A little bit of a technical goof up over there. Please forgive me. I'm still trying to, be that octopus that works these gadgets well. Carrie Ann, thank you for joining us this evening. Can you hear me there, Carrie Ann?
My pleasure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming along and joining us again. Carrie Ann actually helped me launch Serani Sembang 10 episodes ago, and that was wonderful. Since then, she
felt like a lifetime ago, Vanan.
I know, right? So much has happened. I mean, like with everything happening around the world and in KL, and yeah, lots and lots. But you're looking wonderful, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's delighting, really. So.
Thank you. Yeah, Ask Me Anything episode. So this is where we are actually going to throw open the gates to any kinds of questions, etc., that anybody would like to ask. And as the questions come in, perhaps maybe Carrie Ann can start, because I noticed that with Serani Sembang in recent times on the Facebook webpage, when I actually posted up an old picture of a schema that I did, which helped to position Serani within the larger framework of Eurasian and with other compositions, there was a lot of conversations. So I thought, okay, for the 10th episode, why don't I just allow people to ask me questions about this thing that's going on with me and Serani Sembang? And so I asked Carrie Ann if she'd come in and help moderate and facilitate and maybe even interrogate me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good word to use, Vernon. Interrogate. But
okay,
actually before you, I mean, I'm not sure if you could put that picture of that thing that you did, that little diagram that you prepared. So whoever is watching or whoever hasn't seen it or is not on Serani Sembang,
I don't
look at it.
I don't have it here right now, but let me see if I can dig it up and bring it in. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually do not have it here, but it's on the Serani Sembang webpage.
Okay.
It's going to be.
Can you just explain it to us for those who?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
no worries. But can you just explain it roughly for those who have not seen it?
Yeah. Okay. Basically, my idea of my identity is that my identity of Serani is within a larger subset, and that is Eurasian. So I choose to identify as Serani because I think it's more accurate with regards to the location and the geography and history of my identity. Serani locates me in Southeast Asia. It locates me either in Penang, Malacca, or Singapore. And it actually indicates that my ancestry goes back to the 1500s when the Portuguese first arrived. So it's a little bit more nuanced and informed and loaded than Eurasian, which is kind of generic and doesn't really place you historically or geographically. So my schema puts Serani within a larger subset, which is Eurasian. And within Serani is a smaller subset, which is Kristan. Okay, and it's not a Serani versus Eurasian argument. Okay, I'm just saying that I am Serani because it seems to be a little bit more specific and accurate. And to actually extend this conversation a little bit more, we're going to bring on a guest later on who is actually an intercultural expert and who's also into kind of like identities and the kinds of intercultural competencies that we need in order to basically deal in a very diversified world. Yeah. But meanwhile, we'll do this little kind of like Ask Me Anything session for a little bit more. So yeah. So do you understand? Serani to Eurasian is like Hakka to Chinese. So when somebody says they are Hakka, you can already imagine the kind of foods they eat. Yeah, the kind of perhaps even clothes they wear, and the kind of dialect or language or accent they might have. All right. So the identity is kind of like more granular You know, it's more it's more distinct. It's more finer in its granularity. I came up with this phrase, communal granulism, lately, and I got told off by people for coming up with jargon. But to me, it kind of like seemed to explain it kind of well. You know, yeah.
Yeah, I think you mean, for many years, your passion for this in sort of defining the word Serani itself, or the
Yeah.
culture that exists within this word, or the context of Serani is something that has, gotten you as much praise as it has criticism as well
And
from the
derision.
community. Yeah,
Yeah.
from the community, from the Eurasian community, or Serani
Yeah.
community, or even for the
Yeah.
Kristan community.
Yeah.
But let's get back to that little diagram that you have. How did you actually, or why did you actually even feel the need to sort of draw that out
Well,
in
I
the
was
first
trying
place?
to I was trying to interrogate my own understanding of it, and it occurred to me that this was perhaps the best way to lay it out. You know,
Mm,
the fact of the matter is, when the Portuguese were here, you know, in the 1500s, and they ran a census, there was a category called Serani, Seranie. You know, and it
okay.
apparently appears in Portuguese documents, right? And the existence of Serani, Kampung Seranis in Penang, in the north part, in
Mm-hmm.
some parts of the peninsula, in Malacca, in even Singapore, there was a Kampung Serani. You know, tells me that
Right.
the identity label of Serani was shared, and proudly so, by these people, perhaps before the British came. And when the British
Mm-hmm.
arrived, they concocted or coined the
Okay.
word Eurasian. You know, but for me, what is interesting is how some of the historians from our own ilk have referred to Serani as the term that the locals called us, and we've never owned it. And I feel kind of strange that we don't own it. You know, how come we don't own it? I mean, if they called us that, we must have, after a while, called ourselves that as well. What was so wrong that we wouldn't use it to call ourselves that? And when people say it is a Malay
But even, I
word,
mean, Serani is right. No, I was just going to say that the term. How do you explain to people generally what Serani is when you tell them that that is your ethnicity?
and then I say, well, I am a Eurasian, but a specific kind of Eurasian, a mixed race, you know, person,
Mm,
but a
okay.
specific kind of mixed
Mm-hmm.
race person. I mean, like, even for me to say Eurasian is kind of like not exactly for me. I'm uncomfortable with it. You know, I really am.
Okay.
Um,
Why
yeah,
why is
it's
that
like,
though? Why are you uncomfortable with it?
because as I mentioned, you know, the first episode when you asked me how I came up with the name Serani Sembang,
Serani
for
Sembang.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, for the website, and I said it was because when I was growing up as a child, I heard my grandparents and my uncles and aunties and my parents refer to us as Serani,
Mm,
you know, and it was only once I had my IC and saw, oh, Eurasian there, that was when I went, okay, Eurasian is maybe the official title, not realizing that, yeah, one is official and one isn't.
okay.
But
Right.
yeah, so when the opportunity came for me to actually come up with a title, I thought I'd use Serani because it seemed to be more, I don't know, accurate, more authentic. Yeah, so that is why.
Do you feel like it would define more of who you are, or define more of your your
Background
culture, your
history.
heritage in that sense?
Yeah, yeah. That when I
And
said
what are
it,
the kind of, sorry, Subhana is just lagging here. You were
yeah,
saying?
yeah, the lag. Yeah, when
Yeah.
I was growing up and when I went to school and stuff, and people said, "What are you?" and I'd say, "I'm Eurasian." And then the next question would be, "Is your mother European or your father European?" And then
Right,
I'd go, "No,
right, right.
both my mother and my father are Eurasian." And then they'd go, "Is which grandmother is
Mm,
European and which grandfather is European?" And I go, "No, in fact, all four of them are Eurasians." You know, so that used to kind of like, in a sense, make me wonder, okay, what is this Eurasian word? You know, and whether people really understood it. And for me, right? Yes, Sarani is also like that, where people don't understand it. But I guess if we use it often enough, and if we claim it as our own, and we celebrate the label, then after a while it will mean something, Yeah. So I guess that's what put me onto this. And I think also the main thing that drives me is the story of my grandmothers. One grandmother is Thai Chinese who was adopted by a Sarani matriarch. So actually,
Right.
biologically, she's not Sarani, but ethnically and heritage-wise, she's as Sarani as they come. And then another grandmother, my
Right.
paternal grandmother, has a Chinese surname, Dolores Chin. She spoke Malay to my father. So therefore, her mother tongue was Malay, right? And which also means
Right.
that my father's mother tongue might have been Malay as well, right? And her name was Dolores Chin, but her mother was Virginia Jacob, a
Okay.
Sarani woman. So she must have learned Malay and all her Sarani-ness from her Sarani mother, even though she was Dolores Chin. And it is in their memory when I hear about how Catholics can't say their prayers in Malay, I think about my grandmother and how she would have felt about it. Or when somebody says, you don't have any European ancestry, so you're not Eurasian, So I think like for my so I guess it's those memories that kind of like drive me to hang on to this idea of Sarani
To
and
a
why,
sense of identity. Yeah.
yeah.
And what has been from all the forums and the discussions and debates that you've had
Yeah.
online in reference to the word Sarani and the usage of Sarani, what has been the biggest point of contention for most people when they debate this issue with you?
Well, it's referred to as what the locals called us. It's never about what we claimed to be proudly, or are, yeah. So it's always, and the other thing that bothers me is that it's the Malay word for Eurasian, when the word Sarani existed long before the British came. So how can it be the Malay word for Eurasian, So therefore, in my mind, it must be an identity label that was proudly claimed to by a bunch of people. And somewhere along the line, they were distracted or they were diverted or they were told to do something in a particular way. And so then those roots were eroded, and we forgot. And yeah, so I guess that basically drives me to be so insistent and be almost obsessed. And I'm really amazed that people are actually quite how shall I say, upset by it.
So you actually have no real issue with anyone identifying if they are Sarani, let's say like myself, and I
Yeah,
identify as Eurasian instead of Sarani. That is
that's
actually
fine.
not the issue for you.
That's not the issue for me.
Yeah,
The issue for
right.
me is when people tell me, why do you or you shouldn't? And then it becomes an issue for me because I'm being told not to identify the way I want to identify, or that
Okay.
I've got an agenda, So that
Right.
is what kind of like gets me kind of like, how shall I say, that gets me kind of like, intrigued by where is it coming from. And the more I hear it, the more I want to know where it's coming from. Yeah. But I can see our guest. She's in the back room in the what is known as the green room
Okay.
backstage. And I want to bring her on. And I'm really, really very, very happy to have as our guest somebody who's I hold in the greatest respect. Okay. Please, everybody, welcome Dr. Asma Abdullah. Hi, Dr. Asma.
Hello, Vernon. Hi,
How are
Kerry.
you?
Hi, Dr. Asma.
Thank you. Thank you for
Having you
inviting
on
me
board.
to be in your space.
Yes. Well, okay. There are several reasons why I wanted to have you join us. I mean, I've been speaking with you for several years since we met. I think like maybe even 6 years ago. right?
Yeah.
And I found out you were an intercultural specialist. Yeah?
Yeah. What's that?
What's that? Did Kerry say what's that, or did Asma say what's that?
Not many
Dr.
people
Asma
know
did.
what it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Maybe you want to explain what exactly you do.
Well, I normally would use the word intercultural spanner, where you span between two cultures, and also because my background is in anthropology, so it is important that I understand, my heritage, where am I, as a Malaysian, how
Yes.
do I identify myself? Because I think in Malaysia, we are a multicultural society, but of course, the definition of multicultural also differs across cultures. But I
Yeah.
think in Malaysia, there's so many ethnic groups. I mean, I've just been listening to you talking about Serani. I wonder
Yeah.
whether Serani is a localized Malaysian Eurasian.
Right.
So if you use the word Serani, say in Portugal, would they understand what it is?
Like they wouldn't understand what is Haka in Portugal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really a localized term. And for
Mhm.
me, when I look back at my own socialization, like when I went to school, growing up, I find the Seranis around me are a hybrid. They're
Mhm.
hybrid individuals.
Yep.
They're a mixture. You
Yep.
know, don't know so many. So
Yep.
many. Yeah. So I think we need to celebrate that in Malaysia. So
Yeah,
going
that
back again,
hybridity, right? Yeah.
that's right. So going back to intercultural specialists, it's that area of studies that requires you to look at the many cultures that reside in us. Yeah. So
What about yourself, Dr. Asma? What about yourself? What is your, like you are tagged as a Malay,
okay.
identity tagged as a Malay, right?
Yeah.
So where are your parents from? I mean, like, are they Javanese, Sumatrans, Orang Perak, that kind of stuff, Minangkabau,
Okay. I am from Kedah.
right?
I
Orang
don't know
Perak.
whether you know this town called Baling. Baling is
Yes.
up north.
Balik, yeah.
Yeah. And my grandpa, maternal side, grandpa,
Right.
has Siamese.
Okay.
So I
There's a
suppose
huge Siamese community there, yeah?
Siamese, yeah, in Baling, you have the
Baling, yeah.
Siamese. Yeah. And my mother is from Alustar. So
Okay.
again, it's up north, So I
Right.
think if I have to do I've never done a family tree or checking where I come from and all that, but
Yeah.
I suspect, there will be a tie, ancestry
Yes.
somewhere along the line.
Right.
So, but then again, because do not know when to bring my husband, but I have a cross-cultural marriage.
Yes, please bring Peter on. Yeah. Hi, Peter.
And
Hi
because,
there.
because
Hi.
of a cross-cultural marriage, so then you are exposed to a different cultural and religious background. Yeah. So in a way, I'm Malaysian, Malay ethnicity, married to a English, right? English.
Well, technically,
British.
no. See, that
Technically,
brings
no.
in another dimension.
Yeah. So from the UK. Or
From
you
the
have
UK. Oh.
you have a British passport.
I have a British passport. No, but I could be Nigerian and still have a British passport.
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
So the complexity is that I'm part Scottish, part Welsh, part English, and part Spanish.
Okay.
One
Wow.
quarter, one quarter, one
They're
quarter, one quarter.
almost the entire
I
Great
can't-
Britain there.
I
Almost.
can't say I'm English,
Okay.
but even if I say I'm British, got nothing to do with race or ethnicity, you see?
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
complex.
Yeah.
so
So
that
and
yeah. Go ahead.
so when I asked Dr. Asma to come on board, the first thing that struck me was, okay, she's married to a European, and therefore this is a couple that reflects the first Serrani couple. Our foreparents. The two of you actually, in a way, symbolically defines our forefathers and foremothers. And so I was interested in seeing how you thought about these kinds of things, and it'd be really interesting to just see it from a different point of view, not usually from our own people, but from somebody who was like us, and how you negotiated your differences and how you negotiated identity and stuff like that.
I think if you have a cross-cultural marriage, like in our case, there is a need to understand your own culture first.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us grow up in Malaysia not having a good understanding about our own culture.
Why do you think that is the case?
Well, I suppose we take our culture for granted, and it's only when you have conflicts and when you have to negotiate, then you begin to find out, hey, what is it that is causing the difference in outlook? Perhaps it could be culture. So I think this is where I find that culture becomes an issue at the negotiating table. When you're negotiating and when you are in conflict and when you want to manage differences, that's where you really need to understand your culture. I mean, I've been working with so many groups now where, the young generation, I think because of social media and Hollywood movies and, what we see on Western television, I think they're probably not, likely to have a deep understanding of their own culture, because this is the external, the external trappings, what you see, the what you call the conscious part, of the iceberg. But when you are going to negotiate and to look at decisions, difficult decisions, you need to go down deeper to look at the unconscious level of remember the iceberg, that part you cannot see. Or the one that I normally would use in my word is the tree. You use the analogy of the tree where you need to look at the akar. So what is your akar? As a Malay, what is your akar? As a Serani, what is your akar? Because it's the akar that will define you. So to study akar, you need to have a vocabulary. You need to understand some concepts. Otherwise you'll be making impressionistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this is the tree analogy that you had in mind, right?
Right. Yeah. So the conscious part is what you see externally. I mean, I guess this is the tourist aspect.
Right. Yeah.
The rituals, that you can see. But when you study culture, you need to look at the values and underlying assumptions. The akar umbi. So this is what I find, because I've been teaching at the universities, and students who take my module will have to write an essay about that
Yes.
unconscious part.
Yeah.
And most of them say that, they really didn't understand until they have to do this essay. So I think,
So you feel for us to, I guess, be more, you could say, stable and what's the word for it, and strong, I
Yeah.
guess is one way to say it. Strong in our own sense of identity is to be very aware of our roots.
yeah,
And once we are aware of those foundations or those roots or those reasons why certain things are the way they are,
yes,
then we become, I guess, less upset by being challenged or by hearing of something else.
exactly. Because you are able to define yourselves. Because I think in Malaysia, we sometimes allow others to define us.
Right.
Because we don't know. We don't know how to define ourselves. So we
Okay.
allow others to define
Okay.
who we are. So this is where I find that a study or an effort to look at your roots is very important.
Right. Yeah. I would like to actually go back to your roots, yours and Peter's roots, if I may.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta do this. So this is you and Peter. When was it written?
Oh, many years ago.
Okay.
This one, I think in the 90s, 1990s. Yeah.
Okay. So when were you married?
81.
81, yeah, 81.
81. Okay. Wow. 40 plus years.
Yeah, 40 plus years.
39. Going to be 40 years next year.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Correct.
And this is who is this young man? Peter at 4 years of age. And this is in the UK. So
my hair is still blonde, you see?
Yes, it is. And this is, you said you're not English, you're Scottish and Irish, did you say?
Well, that Scottish, Welsh, Spanish, English.
Right.
So the only part, Ireland
Okay.
is not there.
Oh, Ireland is not there. Okay. Scottish, Welsh, well, quite British then. Okay.
So therefore, very difficult for me to say, yes, I was born and lived and grew up in England, so it's easier for me to say I'm, English.
Yes, yeah. Expediency.
That might upset the mother who's half Welsh and half Spanish.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a tricky one. So technically, of course, I'm just Caucasian. That's the official.
Yeah. Okay. And the next picture is Dr. Asma at Tunku Kursia College, 1962. Tell us about that time. I mean, oops, we've lost a device not connected. Oh dear.
Have we lost them, Vernon?
Yeah, we've lost them. Okay. Let's just be a little bit patient. Yeah. And I guess it's back to you and me, and we'll wait. We'll carry on until Dr. Asma comes back in.
All right.
This is the thing about live webcasting, isn't it? The excitement and the stress. Oh, wow.
And also a wonderful internet speed, of course, which is always quite amazing. I'm actually looking at the Serani Sembang feed right now, but so far we don't have any questions for you yet, Vernon. So, I'll happily bug you with some.
Yes, please.
That's not too much trouble.
Not
so this is your 10th episode already.
Yes, it is number 10.
And so what are some of the most how would you say most important things that you've learned so far within the 10 episodes? Would it be about yourself or about technology, for that matter?
I think it's about the thing that I've learned most about from doing this is that if you want to make something happen, you just got to, just go for it. And I mean, like, I'm quite surprised that I actually did it, because people may not realize this, but I am kind of like, I say I'm shameless, but I also like to make sure that when I present myself, I'm at my best. And if you
Right.
go back to the first few, and even today or whatever, I come across as goofing up, making mistakes and stuff like that. And I realize that it's just part of podcasting, live podcasting, that you will make
Absolutely,
mistakes along the way. And it's how you deal with the mistakes that matter more than the mistakes themselves,
And what
So I've
kind of
learned-
mistakes have you sort of experience and learn from any of those that you think
Uh,
stand out in your mind?
Well, the fact that actually I could do with more people working with me on this,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so we can actually what's the word for it? Distribute, the work and the functionalities and stuff. But even as I realize that, I'm also realizing that maybe I can do it on my own. So there's this stubbornness, So it's kind of like weird that I've still managed to get up to 10 episodes every week. And most of the live broadcasts from my readings, we get, upwards of 60 to 100, sometimes over
That's
100 people
cool.
watching the live
Yeah.
webcast,
Right.
because Facebook tabulates it, YouTube tabulates it, and then I can watch as more and more people come in. So just to think that I'm having a sembang session with even more than 10 people,
Right.
is
Right.
for me already very satisfying. That 10 people are sitting around and listening to me and my guests. And my guests have quite important stories to share, like Dr. Asma.
Is she back on?
She's kind of back on, but she's not appearing backstage. Yeah, let me kind of like
Sure.
WhatsApp. But yeah, it's many different things, and also I found out that people really want to help if they can. Like, when I haven't been able to do it myself, I just call people up, like yourself today. I mean, I only asked you today, right? Earlier this morning,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you do a game for it, and I'm very happy, to have you. And maybe I should have given you more notice, but I mean, like this,
But it's okay,
but-
because it's a fly by your pants production.
yeah, fly by your pants production.
That would be Vernon's pickup line. Do you fly
Yeah,
by your
so-
pants? Because I do.
So yeah, I mean, it's that balance between, am I embarrassing myself or am I making a difference? And so I think to myself, okay, maybe I do embarrass myself, but maybe I could make a difference. So let me focus on perhaps making a difference. Like last week, for instance, I met Lieutenant Colonel Clifford Baptist, because it was our 324th anniversary of the Serani landing in Penang.
Right.
And
Right.
it was just so wonderful, to be in his presence, because he's such a, I don't know, he's such a lovely man with when I grow up, I want to be like him, kind of thing.
Long way to go.
I know.
Onward.
Well, I
You're
don't know.
really young. Yeah.
Yeah. So part of the joy of doing this is the opportunity to actually engage with various people, and
Yeah.
So it's been good that way. Okay, Asma, if you can hear me or see me, your avatar is on my studio, but there's no sign of life. So I'm gonna kick you from my studio, and I hope you'll try to reconnect. Okay. Kick guests. Okay. Ah, there you are. Add to stream. Oh, lovely. Okay. Funny how that kick actually works.
Welcome back, Dr. Asma and Peter.
Hi. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't know I had to kick you to bring you in. It's kind of weird. Okay. Yeah. So now you're Dr. Asma, can you say something because your sound wise you're not coming in? No, sound wise, I don't know. Wait, let me see. Try again now, Dr. Asma. No. Oh dear.
No, something. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's the
something wrong with
connection
this.
or just the
Yeah. Shall I?
I think you have to try the kicking out again and
Okay,
see if
I'll
it
try to
works.
kick out again. I'll try to remove you and then you rejoin, yeah? Try now? No?
Maybe
No, still no. Okay, I'm gonna
that's
really kick you.
yeah.
Okay, kick guests. Okay, and so sorry about that, Dr. Asma. Okay, we have some questions here actually on the
We
pane.
do. Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
Ask Dr. Asma and husband what
Mm-hmm.
ethnicity will they call their children?
Mm-hmm.
And would they call their children Eurasian, Serrani, or biracial? It's a Facebook user whose identity is not there.
Oh, really? It's Mr. Richard Durrell.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
is it?
in. Can you hear me?
Hi, Dr.
Yes.
Asma. I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You can hear me now.
You're back. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Okay. This is a picture. Can you see the baju kurung? You know, in all sorts of.
Oh, very,
Yeah.
very stylish. Stylish
Well,
ladies.
This is 1962. You know,
Wow.
all
It is.
and we are all in our 70s now. And
Which one are you in the picture? I'm trying to make out which one is you.
second from the left.
This one here. This one here. My cursor. This one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. Second from the left. Yeah.
Okay, a lovely bob you have there.
So we have to wear baju kurung, you know, when we
Right.
Because all of us grew up in a residential school. So this
Right.
is the resident Tengku Kusiah College in the early 60s.
Yep.
We were I guess the first occupants of this campus. You know, this is a
Yep.
new college. So
Yep.
one of the requirements is that when we are not wearing uniform, we have to wear baju kurung. So all of us
Right.
will wear our version of baju kurung. So at that
Okay.
time, we are not required to cover our heads. But
Right,
now,
yes.
I were to go to Tunku Kursia, all the girls will cover their heads.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yes, that is a significant.
Creeping Islamization.
Well, I don't know. I suppose
That's what I call it.
Okay. Yeah. Can I ask you, Dr. Asma?
Sure.
Okay, this would be 70s, maybe even 60s.
62.
When you 60, okay, so 62. My God, early 62. So you got into college, which means that you're on your road to further education. Was that a big deal for a girl at that time?
Yeah, I suppose. See, like you know that part of the Bumiputra, uplift and all that. It's to send them to boarding school, residential school, because if they were to stay with their parents, they may not be exposed, to an education that will enable them to achieve upward mobility. So the residential schools were set up to allow Malay girls to be given the opportunity to be exposed to, at that time, English medium education. Now, I went there because my dad was in the legal service, and he was posted overseas. So the only place that it will be safe for me will be a residential school. So at that time, there were openings, in the school. So that's where I was sent. And because of the residential school setting, I think the values that we had to internalize will be quite different from, say, my friends who grew up at home.
Okay.
So
Right.
that is why you find Tengku Kursia College girls are kind of independent,
Yeah.
you know. So
Quite very much community leaders and very confident women, you know, who seem to grab life with full kind of like gusto, right?
well, I think so. I suppose how you describe, you know, it's interesting because I'm in the midst of writing compiling a book
Yeah.
where I am going to get my classmates to write
Yeah.
essays and ask them to look back, you know, what was the conditioning in the school that has enabled them to be what they are now. So I think it's like impact studies and hopefully,
Right. Yeah.
I think
Very
that's really,
interesting.
really
Yeah.
good, actually. Yeah. Yeah. We also see the changes, you know, the kind
Right.
of exposure that you had then in college,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
now.
I think
And I think that's
that's
amazing.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, because the collective programming is quite quite significant, you know, because
Wow. Collective programming. That's very interesting.
we
Hmm.
were asked to acquire values or internalize values that we would not have had we stayed at home.
Right.
Right.
What kind of values do you think, from your point of view?
I guess one of the most significant one is time management.
Oh, really? Wow.
We were ruled by the bell. You know,
Right. Right.
we had
Yeah.
the bell ringing when to get up, when to go do homework,
Right.
when to
Right.
eat, when to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
all part of the programming. But I think
Okay.
more important is the sense of independence, that you
Okay.
are responsible for your own. Whereas if you had stayed at home, your parents would be taking care of what you want
Yeah.
to do and so on.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So now you are getting influenced by people outside your family, perhaps maybe with different ways of seeing things and getting things done. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
the diverse, yeah, and I guess the exposure to something diverse, quite diverse from what you're used to, is
Yeah.
also a good thing, isn't it?
Well, definitely. You know, you
Yeah.
learn about networking also.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think what's also interesting is that, you know,
Mhm.
almost within a year or two of her
Hmm.
leaving TKC, she went to Australia
Okay.
and was 5 years there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Then came back, and again, I think within less than a year, went off to California,
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
overseas.
and then came back, and almost within the week,
Yeah.
met this orang putih or mat saleh, you see, and then so I sort of believe that you know, Malay girls were independent, individualistic, somewhat westernized.
Because of one that you met.
Just
was
because
quite-
of what I met, because I'd not really connected or associated much with many others. So,
Right. How did you meet? What was that moment?
Oh.
What was going on? Yeah.
I think
was it job? Was it work related?
we were working together on a project, and
Right.
so I suppose yeah.
well, before that though,
Yeah.
I mean, how we met was that I was actually running a training course,
Right.
and she had Asma had just got back from the States, and I think the boss was sort of saying, well, you know, I didn't realize you suddenly were turning up, and I don't have a desk and an office for you. So there's this guy running a training course for 3 days. Just go and attend that, and you know, then I'll have everything sorted out for you. So,
Right.
in a way, I have to thank her boss for introducing her to me indirectly by sending her on the course. If she hadn't been sent on the course, I probably would never have met.
Okay.
Anyway,
Right,
well,
Okay.
Or fate or serendipity if you're romantic.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So, okay, Bernard.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
long-
So let me move. Let me move to the next slide. Yep. Because
you can-
we've got so much here. Of course, this is the wonderful wedding. I'll look at you, Dr. Asma. You look stunning, like a Miss Malaysia. And
oh dear.
and that orang putih next to you looks kind of like stultified.
I
I don't
call,
know.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
Prince of Sandakan.
Prince of Sandakan.
that
This was
the thing about, I don't know whether if you attend a Malay wedding, you
Yeah.
have to go on this wedding dais, and you have to
Yes.
be somber. You cannot
Yes,
be
yes, of
smiling.
course.
You cannot be
Yeah.
laughing.
Yes.
I suppose, or waving to your friends.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, true.
it was quite an experience for him because he didn't know, what to do. But thank God,
Yeah.
because some friends I have, they just took charge and tell him what to do.
Right, right. Then this was in 81. Is that correct?
Yeah, 81. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
okay.
Next one is okay. Now this is a setup that you are working on. Do you want to
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this, because I think this is really interesting.
Okay. This is a virtual platform, but also let me see, how should I describe it? It's a culture detective
Mhm.
of people who want to know about the culture of, I don't know how many countries now. There could be about 100 countries now where you have culture detective modules. So
Okay.
I'm part of the virtual team that
Right.
developed culture detective for Malaysia.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
know a couple of organizations use this culture detective to understand the culture of the country that they
Right.
are entering. Yeah, so you can visit it and produce over 130 intercultural.
Yes, 130 intercultural experts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you will
Very
find
interesting.
for Malaysia, I was responsible for the module with another friend, I think.
What
Can
kind
you-
of sorry,
Hmm?
Vernon.
Carry on. Carry
I
on.
was just gonna ask, what kind of like are there certain organizations or bodies that would find this handy, and in what way?
Yeah. I have the. Are you familiar with the Antara Budaya? I know they use this, but also companies who are sending their expats to Malaysia.
Right. Okay. All right.
They will download these and use the materials. If you were to go to the website, you will see the values. We call it the
Okay.
cultural lens.
Right.
So all of us are supposed to identify 5 key values of Malaysia. So I have some slides to show, but you can just go to the website. But one of the values definitely would be religion. Religion is very important in Malaysia, or religious
Absolutely.
faith. Religious faith is very
Yeah.
important, and
A strong part of identities, right? Yeah.
part of identity. Exactly. In Malaysia, you really
And
have to.
And I'm guessing also cultural understanding, certain taboos, certain things that might be very sensitive for people who may be, migrating or working here in a new place.
Yeah, we actually didn't focus too much on the sensitivities, but we have a couple of case studies that you can use. And then you have discussions on them.
Okay.
The sensitivities will come through the case studies, but also through the values. Because I think if we talk about values, when we carry the values to an extreme, there will be some negative elements.
Yeah. Yeah.
So concepts like face, the concept of face.
Right.
Yeah.
If you take it too seriously, then you'll have problems.
Yeah, problem. I mean, like when I was hearing you, Vernon, obviously
Yeah.
you are an extrovert, right?
Okay.
So this is where I find that in order to understand culture, you really have to also understand yourself. You know,
Yes, absolutely.
physiological
Yeah.
self. You know, because I mean your personality, right? And if you are, you know, there are certain personalities who will thrive in certain cultures and not others. Yeah. So this is where you can talk about your personality and culture. Yeah. Because in Malaysia, if you are a Malay, being too extrovert sometimes can rub people on the wrong side.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you know, a Malay child grows. I mean, this is part of my programming. A Malay child grows to be a face in the crowd. So that means, what does that mean? You know, so branding yourself, talking well about yourself can be difficult. Can be difficult. So,
Okay.
so that yeah, things like that.
I guess that's where the difference lies between maybe I don't know, Muhyiddin and Anwar.
Could
But
be.
maybe we won't go into politics.
Yeah, we cannot help. Cannot help politics, right? Yeah. So yeah, personalities, you know, I mean your orientation, whether you're an extrovert, introvert, yeah, very important traits to understand. Oh,
And
so
then
you this. Yeah, okay. This
yeah.
one. Yeah, this one will give you an understanding of some cultural dimensions when you manage, well, not manage, when you are in a cross-cultural marriage. I think maybe, Vernon, if you can you show the slide 5 or
Slide 5. I can
slide 5.
attempt
You
to look for
push.
it. Yeah.
I don't know whether,
Yeah.
because I think
Slide 5.
to study culture, I find that you really have to understand the 3 interfaces. That is why I thought maybe we can just frame it in that way and then go back to the cross-cultural marriage.
Okay.
Let me see. I think another one there. This one. Okay.
This
Before
one?
that.
This one?
No, before that.
Oh, the intracultural,
Intra.
intercultural, and multicultural.
Intra.
Yeah.
Next
Which one?
Next one. Earlier on.
Okay.
This one. Yes, this is it. Okay.
Okay.
So you can see here that in Malaysia, we function at these 3 levels, right? So because I'm married, Peter, it's cross-cultural marriage, right?
Right.
But if I were
Yeah.
to marry a Malay guy, it will be at the intracultural. So
Right.
at each level, there will be different nuances, different nonverbal, different ways of relating. So because I am relating at the cross-cultural level, Peter sees me only at that level. He doesn't see me at the intracultural level unless he comes and visit my parents. Then I will have a different set of behaviors that are appropriate at the intracultural level, right? Whereas if I'm relating with you, Vernon, and with Carrie, we are at the intercultural level.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Malaysia, in a day, we can relate at 3 levels.
Wow. Quite busy. Eh?
So if I'm relating with my mother, the set of the code of behavior is very different from when I'm relating with Peter, because I am at the intracultural level. Yeah.
Right.
If I'm relating with my Chinese friend, I'm at the intercultural level. That's where you code switch and all that.
Yeah.
So as a Malaysian, if you don't have the experience of cross-cultural interface, you will only know how to relate at the intracultural level.
Right.
So you may not be able to code switch, you know, you may not be able to relate, you know, across cultures because you're only functioning at the intracultural level. So that is why in a marriage, if I had married, say, at the intercultural level, my husband would be a Malay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, most of my friends would say it can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Because
of your personality.
Well, personality maybe, but the cultural programming that I had at TKC was independent, autonomy,
Right.
on your own, And I know by talking to most of my Malay girlfriends, a wife is supposed to cook,
Mhm.
to wash, and I guess I don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, I'm married
Yeah.
to have a cross-cultural marriage, But if I had married at the intracultural level, now the expectations of mother-in-laws and relatives and so on would be quite different.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
I have to chip in here and say that when we met, we were contemplating marriage. She would say, "I hope you don't expect me to cook for you, to bring you your cup of tea and your slippers and all those sorts of things where you just plonk yourself down."
Right on. Lay the cards out before you tie the knot.
Yeah, in fact, if I may add here, this is the problem with women's groups now in the country, because we have to deal with masculinity, the concept of masculinity,
Absolutely.
and who is responsible for bringing up their children who are sons are the mothers. So you want to deal with women's issues, you need to deal with the concept of masculinity.
Wow, that's very interesting.
That's another level.
Patriarchy as well.
Yeah. That's another show.
That's a different. That'd be another show altogether.
Not only masculinity, it's patriarchy and hierarchy.
I would call it male dominance.
Dominance.
Okay. So we'll go back to where are we? We'll go back to that particular PowerPoint slide.
Yeah. So cross-cultural marriage.
Yeah.
So now you can see that managing differences, you need to manage differences. Yeah, I guess.
And I wanted to show that because of what you had said here in your article. You said that I want to conclude by a quote from Leo Tolstoy. What counts in a happy marriage is not so much how compatible you are, but how you deal with incompatibility. And I mean, like, a happy marriage is like any kind of relationship, really. If we can deal with our incompatibility, we actually could basically do a lot more together.
Right.
So like I like that whole idea that we all have problems, we don't match and dovetail into each other, but if we can deal with those nooks and bits that get in the way, if we can accept it, we can roll with it, we can be more resilient to it, we can we can frame it in a way that doesn't damage us completely, then that's the way to move forward. And I think it's quite a wonderful kind of like thought to have, that all of us have problems, let's just deal with it and move forward together. Yeah.
I think the problem starts when you want people to be like you.
Yes. Yeah. Which is why diversity is such a wonderful thing to celebrate, where we celebrate all kinds of differences, right? Yeah. And life becomes more interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like I always say, the laksa is created because of so many cultures coming together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about this. You're a member of G25, right? And
I'm a silent member. I mean, I'm not so active, but
Well, you wrote an essay in this book. How silent could you have been?
Actually, when I was looking at the phrases that they took exception, one of it was from my chapter.
Your chapter, okay.
But of course,
so
now.
Right. And so you're a troublemaker then?
Not really, but but now it's on the bookshelf. So
yes, it was banned and then it's back on the bookshelf. So people who are interested in diversity and differences and how to talk about it and deal with it, I think this book is worth kind of like looking at, right? 25 prominent Malaysian Malays issued an open call for moderate Malays and Muslims to speak out against the hate speeches targeted at non-Muslims. So I really kind of like, appreciate what G25 and people like you, Dr. Asma, do for Malaysia, because all we're getting, are the racists and the bigots, and we don't often, give a platform to people like yourself, who are calling for, acceptance of diversity. So this is why I wanted to bring the book in. And your chapter is the impact of Islamicization on Malays in Malaysia. Which already to me quite I want to read it immediately already.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did I send you the I sent you the article, right? Yeah.
Yes, you did. Thank you. Yeah. And then it was banned in 2017, shortly after it came out, right?
Yes.
And the ban was lifted on May 2019, so it's now available in the bookshops.
Yeah. So
right. Okay. So people can actually get it. Yeah.
Wow. You've been following, huh? Yeah.
Sorry?
You've been following the book?
Yes. I mean, like I like to know, what's kosher and what's not kosher, to use a Jewish term.
Hey, that's a nice word, kosher. Kosher book. You need to come up with
a kosher book now.
Or Sharia compliant.
Sharia compliant, yeah. Okay, so this is something that was the basis of your doctoral thesis. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, would you like to tell us about this?
How much time do we have, Vernon? I do not know.
Do you have to run off somewhere? Are you in a hurry?
No. I mean, I just want to know what time do you end?
We can go on forever.
Okay.
Maybe another 20 minutes, half an hour. That's fine. Yeah.
How many people are in the room? Are they?
At the moment, not very many. About according to what I can see, about 10ish.
Okay. I do not know whether do you think they have questions? Because I don't want to share something that they are not so familiar.
Nobody's asking any questions. So either they're listening or they've got it on the background, and they're kind of like cherry picking little bits that we're talking about. So yeah.
Okay. This is where I think Peter and I can go through this 16 cultural dimension.
Yeah.
Because it will describe some polar opposites. Like
polar
for example,
opposites.
Like the green dimensions and red dimensions.
Yeah.
Now, based on my research, Malaysians tend to gravitate towards the green.
Okay.
And the Anglos will gravitate towards the red. So because you are Serani, I'm not quite sure where you are, but
probably zigzag.
Zigzag, exactly. Or you can be both, So because you're a hybrid. So we can go through slide by slide and then we can just talk through it. For example, the concept of harmony versus control. So you can just change the slide and look at harmony. What is the concept of harmony versus control? So if you are harmony driven, you're more likely to be. Are you going to press the slide?
Next slide.
Yes.
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay. Wait.
Because
I'm going to get there because I'm kind of like.
You have to fast forward. Yeah.
Right. Here. How many?
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah. Harmony driven.
Right.
So you can see based on the pictures I have, harmony driven culture is probably more flexible, accommodating, conflict avoidance.
Right.
And whereas control, maybe you Masri, So based on my research with Anglo-Saxon, those I worked with for many years in Exxon, if I can
Yeah.
mention a company, plus
Yeah.
working and having an Anglo in as my roommate,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
these are more mastery driven, control driven, firm, assertive, competitive.
Yeah.
You take charge.
Yeah.
Something is on the way, you take charge. Whereas
Yeah.
Malaysians are more harmony driven. So
Yeah.
so then I will ask them which you think is more Malaysian and more Anglo. Okay, next one.
Right.
The next one, slide, relationship oriented. Now, why are Malaysians like to eat? It's to do with because we are more relationship driven. By
Yes. Yes.
eating, we break the ice, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Food is such an important part. Yeah.
important part, yeah. Whereas Anglos, next slide, based on my research, I think Anglo-Saxon culture more task driven. You
Right.
get the task done, then I decide whether to be friends or not. So the
Wow.
focus
Okay.
on accomplishment, objective, yeah, to some
Yeah.
extent personal. So there again, if you come from a relationship-driven culture and you have to work in a task-driven company, you have
Yeah.
to shift. Okay, next one. Next slide will be
Hierarchical.
so you can see, in Malaysian organizations, it's very hierarchical, right? So protocol, ceremonies, politeness, respect for seniors, all that are very important. Versus
Right.
cultures which are more, next slide, equality driven. Yeah, equality for all. Yeah, meritocracy, less ceremonies, egalitarian. And this I find to be the American work setting,
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going very fast just to,
Yes. Yeah.
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 Shame driven. Yeah, this is another cultural dimension that I think is associated with Asians. Shame driven, malu. What would people say?
Yeah.
What would
Yeah.
people say? The pain is in the shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus, so the locus of control is external. Versus, you missed one slide, Vernon. It's called guilt.
So I did.
Maybe don't put the shame will be guilt. Next one will be guilt. I
Okay.
don't know why it's
I didn't
hidden.
press one. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hidden.
Yeah.
I think what you do is you don't put it on slideshow. You put it on the slide editor. Somehow I think it's hidden somewhere.
Okay. Yes, it is. It is hidden. Okay.
Okay, so you
Yeah. I'm unhiding it now. And yeah.
okay, guilt.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see guilt-driven cultures. The locus of control is internal. Yeah, independent
Right.
personal accountability. So I don't care what people say. This is what I am. Okay. So then next one, high context. Yeah. So can you
Yeah.
see here? Communication is guarded, indirect. Yeah. So the shortest the distance between the shortest distance between 2 points is never a straight line. So it's
Yeah.
very circuitous. So that is why in Malaysia you can never be direct. When you're too direct, you can be considered as rude.
Rude.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to be guarded in stating your opinions and so on. Next, versus cultures which are more low context. Yeah, low context cultures are to the point, straight to the point. You can be very direct, you can be data driven, you're not shy to speak up. So when someone says, "Oh, Malaysians, speak up, Malaysians, speak up, Malaysian," you obviously don't understand culture.
Yeah.
Because Malaysians will not speak up, but given teh tarik, kuih muih,
Yeah. Then they will soften.
then they will talk. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
that they're not. You have to prepare the context. Now,
Right.
Malaysians,
Yes. Yeah.
of course, Malaysians are never on time, polychronic,
Mhm.
stretchable, rubber time,
Rubber
versus
time. Yeah.
rubber time, stretchable. Whereas monochronic cultures are this one thing at a time, displays, digital, efficiency driven. So this is what I
Okay.
learned about, remember I was talking about Tunku Kursia?
The bell. Yeah.
The bell. So we were
Right.
conditioned. So you want to change culture, you have to condition them at an early age.
Right.
So this is why I have problems when someone talks about Bumi Putra entrepreneurs. You cannot train them when they are already seniors or
Yeah, yeah.
30, 40.
Yeah.
You have to groom them right at school level. Okay,
Right.
next one. This is very important. The concept of self in the Malay culture, especially, or at least people of my generation, is related to others. My concept of self is a related one because I'm
Yeah.
part of a group. I
Yes. Yeah.
I cannot be an individual. This is where the TKC programming has helped me to be
Yeah.
both, be
Yeah.
part of a group as well as be an individual self.
Individual. Yeah. Okay.
The next one,
Individual.
this is where I learned in an American company. You have to be able to toot your own horn. Nobody else will toot for you. So
Mm.
you have to be an individual, yeah. And then
Yeah.
religious,
Yeah.
then secular. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, secular means you can be religious, but it's just that in Malaysia, you have to understand that we bring the religious element into the workplace, into the schools.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
you have to recognize that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, that's where I feel that people need to understand culture.
Mm.
Right. 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 So
I don't
do
know.
you think,
Yeah.
as a hybrid community, right? With perhaps maybe you could say some kind of like inclinations towards Western ways of thinking and Western ways of behavior,
Yeah.
and located the East, in the East,
Mhm.
what do you think would be problematic for Serani people? What do you think might be our biggest challenges? What do you think might be worth celebrating?
I think that because they are hybrid, they live in both cultures. They are smart.
Okay.
They have what do you call emotional intelligence to be able to
Okay.
relate with both.
Right.
I find that I don't know if you were to survey the number of lawyers in this country. Are there
Mhm.
many Sudanese? There are many Indians.
Well, my nephew is a lawyer. um, a lot of school teachers. A lot of school teachers.
Yeah.
A lot of you could say lawyers in the media. A lot of people in the media, like both me and Carrie Ann are media workers. You could
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like communications, jobs that involve communicating,
Yes.
we seem to kind of like do well there, I guess.
Yes, that's right. Because of your verbal linguistic intelligence, and also, you're able to be, the term that the concept that I used earlier was high context, low context.
Yes. Yeah.
So meaning you are able to do both.
Okay.
Yeah, you know
Okay.
how to direct. At the same time, you also, the Malays call it berbelit-belit.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Because
Mm.
the berbelit-belit is to jaga hati.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So when you understand culture, you don't look at it from a deficit angle. You look at it from a point of difference. Because
Okay.
there is a tendency for us when you look at culture to think there is a deficit. A harmony-driven
Yeah.
culture has its pluses. Yeah, a collectivistic culture has its pluses. So you need to
Yes.
build on your strength, and this is what we sometimes deny,
Mm-hmm.
because people think that you want to be modern or you want to be global, you have to be westernized. Not necessarily.
Yes.
All you do is you just expand your repertoire, and this is
Mm-hmm.
where I think the Seranis have a head start.
Okay. We've got a larger repertoire.
Yeah.
I guess it's because of the exposure to, I mean, like I always say that, I have a linguistic privilege or a cultural privilege because I learn stuff about other cultures more than somebody else who might concentrate only on their culture.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because we're such a minority that to study us may not be as advantageous as studying other people. or yeah.
Well,
So I mean, like,
yeah.
you know, I've noticed one thing also among Sorani people is the need to also work with other minorities. You know, like when we have several Sorani people who migrated to Australia, and they have significant work with the indigenous communities.
Oh.
You know, and likewise there is Dr. Colin Nicholas here who set up the Orang Asli Center.
Center for Orang Asli.
Center for Orang
That's right.
Asli.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, concerns. COAC. Yeah, Center for Orang Asli Concerns, as well as I think there's an area in Kuching also. So I mean, like, it's very interesting how I don't know. I mean, like, is it because we are maybe hypersensitive to these kinds of things?
Yeah.
You know, having been exposed, you know, to so much more, you know, than just our own.
Yeah.
You know,
and also being a minority, you develop certain resilience. You know, certain values, certain drives.
Yeah.
I think also the ability to empathize comes in. Because you sort of put in both camps.
Yeah.
But if I'm only in one camp, I'm not so likely to be able to empathize. I may want to, but I don't understand, as we said, the roots of the difference. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Let me see what else is on this other. I think that's about it. Yeah. Well, Carrie Ann, any thing you'd like to add or ask or clarify?
I do think we'll need a whole new other session with Dr. Asma, because I think there's so many interesting perspectives that you just put in place there, and so many observations that are so relatable to everyone, irrelevant of whether they're Sarani or not. You know, as Malaysians, I think it's very relatable. So maybe we'll have Dr. Asma on again
at a later date. Yeah, and the thing is, we get two for the price of one, because we've got Dr. Asma and Dr. Peter. You know? and they're different points of view, right? Add to the whole, you know. And so I think what is wonderful about your marriage, your partnership, your practice is the fact that you're both coming from either sides of the cultural equation and informing each other. Yeah, and so what comes out, I think, is like another laksa that's really wondrous and
She's green and I'm red, you see, on that dimension. we each bring each other into the other dimension from time to time.
Absolutely right. Yeah, so I'm very, very happy that you agreed to come on the show at such a late notice, Dr. Asma and Dr. Peter.
Wow.
And it's really fascinating, the work that you do, trying to extricate all the complexities of our mess, of our absolute mess.
We are resisting. That's the problem. You are resisting. I mean, maybe mainstream culture, trying to resist the strength that we have, the richness. I think. I don't know. I suppose in years to come, we just have to work on alternative pathways to understand. The schools are not going to do much.
Actually, I mean, like, if I may say, I mean, like, this is part of, for me, the Sarani journey, that, to show, to really bring to the surface the multiplicity of what we are, rather than just a homogeneous, one monoculture,
There's so much to share.
Yes, indeed. So many stories that can teach us so many things.
Yeah, that's why I like your effort, to study through families, because that's the core.
Isn't it? Yeah. So I think so too. I mean, it's a microcosm of society. If we can make a family work.
I have a friend. I do not know whether you have heard of this. You can Google
Yes.
Initiatives of Change.
Initiatives of
IOMC.
change.
Initiatives of Change. Uh,
Okay.
they came up from the moral armament idea in Europe after the war and so on. But
Wow. Yeah.
now they have a series of we call it I Listen. I've been tuning into the I Listen conversation.
Right.
So it talks about change and it talks about beginning from you, talks about diversity, all the things that we are talking about, as far as
Right.
globalization,
Right.
being in a globalized world.
Yeah.
And because of the COVID, we have global conversations every day. But
Okay. Yes.
what I want to share with you is there's one guy, his name is Nandor.
Mm-hmm.
He has started a series of conversations on Chinese families.
Okay.
But it is in Mandarin, I think. So then it become a bit restrictive.
Yeah.
But this is where I find if you want to start to change or to promote intercultural or multicultural or whatever understanding, you have to start with the families.
Yes. Yes.
Understand where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's where you build understanding.
Right.
Rather
Yes.
than
Yes. Indeed.
concepts and models, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
opportunity to and Zoom and virtual media, social media is giving that platform for us to have a conversation.
Yes. Expediting the process. I mean, like now we can have conversations with people we never possibly could, 5 years ago.
Exactly.
I mean, and we're doing this like we've been speaking for an hour and 20 minutes, and imagine how much that would have cost like 10 years ago.
Right.
Right. Now it's
Yeah.
just part of our Wi-Fi bill every month.
Yeah. And do it in our sitting room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Well,
all right.
thank you so much, Dr.
Great.
Asma and Dr. Peter. I hope to, come and bother y'all for Teh Tarik one day soon. Yeah, and we can.
Yeah, I do think we have a lot to talk about. And I think actually
Yeah.
Dr. Asma has my dream job because I wanted to be an anthropologist. And
Oh,
I think you're a fellow Monash alumni, is that right?
yes. Where are
Yeah.
you working? Are you working? You working in KL?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So I think Vernon and I will come and catch out you guys
Yes.
sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're a Monash.
Wonderful.
Yes, I
Okay.
am. Yeah. Yep.
So we'll keep in touch, and yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us and
Thank
being
you
part
for
of this.
joining us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie Ann. I'll see
No
you soon. Huh?
worries. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Bye,
Good
guys.
night, everybody, and goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
And yeah, like, share, subscribe, etc. Bye.
Bye.
Hi Vernon, congratulations on 20 years of Serani Sembang. This is indeed a milestone, and this success is a reflection of your passion, dedication, creativity, and tenacity. Happy to call you my friend, and let me try in the mother tongue of my grandmother to wish you well. Yureza Deus logo benze kubos tudo dia. God bless and lots of love.